Rajas and all the assembled Vaishnavas. This is Kirti the Sundari Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Kirti Das Sundari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining.
Hare Krishna, Anjana Gupta Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. This is Radharani Devi Dasi. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Radharani Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining. Is there anybody else who like to introduce in the call?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanwa Pranam Mataji. Myself Krishna Mohan Das from India, Gurgaon Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances to your lotus feet Mataji. Thank you so much Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining.
Hare Krishna, all glory to the temple's devotee. This is Krishna Smita Devi Dasi from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna, Anjana Gupta Mataji. This is Preeti.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining.
Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Parima from Philadelphia. Please accept my humble obeisances to everyone else on this call also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam. Thank you, Mataji, for joining. Hare Krishna, we are very fortunate. We will, by His grace, our Arjun Sakha Prabhuji in the call. Today we are reading Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Antya Lila 1720 onwards. Prabhuji, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your recitation. Please take up the call, Prabhuji.
Om Jnanathimiranthasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Dadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swame Neti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ananda Lila Maya Vigrahaya Hemavadivya Chavi Sundaraya Tasmai Mahaprema Rasapradaya Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. Before I begin, I would want to express my heartfelt gratitude at the lotus feet of Abhay Charanaravinda, Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, for giving us this unparalleled nectar that was never given in the past in the form of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta. Secondly, I want to thank Preeti Vilasini Mataji and Kirti Sundari Mataji and other organizers of the Bhakti Sangha for very kindly having me once again at the service of all the Vaishnavas. And finally, I offer my very respectful obeisances to all the assembled devotees and beg for your kind wishes and blessings so that I may speak something favorable in the glorification of today's topic. Please accept my very humble obeisances. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. So let me just share my screen. Can someone confirm if the screen is visible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mataji. So this morning we are reading from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta, Antya Lila, chapter 17, which is entitled as the bodily transformations of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, text 20 onwards. So we'd be reading from text 20 up till text 23. Text 20. Ucha kari shravana kare nama sankirtan aneka kshane Mahaprabhu paila chetan. Translation. All the devotees began to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra very loudly. And after a considerable time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained consciousness. Chaitana haila hastapad bahire aila purvavata yate yogya sharira haila. When he regained consciousness, his arms and legs came out of his body and his whole body returned to normal. Uthiya vasilena prabhu chahena ithi uthi swarupe kahena tumi ama anile kathi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stood up and then sat down again. Looking here and there, he inquired from Swarup Damodar, "Where have you brought me?" Text 23. Venu shabda shuni ami gelana brindavana dekhi ghoshte venu bajaye brajendra nandana. After hearing the vibration of a flute, I went to Vrindavan, and there I saw that Krishna, the son of Maharaj Nanda, was playing on his flute in the pasturing grounds. He was playing his flute on the pasturing grounds. The Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto, chapter 52, text 20, in the section of Rukmini and Krishna. In that section, Shukadev Goswami, he very beautifully quotes a verse and gives the three benefits of hearing Krishna Katha. You see, it's almost like a tradition. Before we begin Krishna Katha, it's of paramount importance to know as to what we will get by hearing Krishna Katha. If we know what we are going to get by hearing Krishna Katha, our faith and our attention in Krishna Katha only increases. So I think someone's mic is on. If we could kindly mute ourselves. So in Canto 10, chapter 52, text 20, Shukadev Goswami, he says, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya Madhvi Loka Malapaha Konu Tripyeta Shrunvanam Shrutagya Nitya Nutanaha. He says, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya. The first quality of Krishna Katha is it is Punya, it is pure. We see generally that if there are home programs or there are temple functions, many times after the prasadam is served, the floor it becomes dirty. When the floor is dirty, in order to clean the floor, what do? We take a cloth. But we do not take a dirty cloth, we take a clean cloth. We take a clean cloth in order to clean the dirt that is there in the floor. But what happens is when we take a clean cloth and clean the dirt on the floor becomes clean, but the cloth becomes dirty. So now if you draw parallels, our heart is like that floor, which is dirty. And Krishna Katha is like that cloth. So now someone can have the question that if Krishna Katha is like that cloth, and if it goes and cleans the contamination of the heart, does Krishna Katha also become impure like the cloth? The answer is no. Shukadev Goswami says, Krishna Katha Punya, it is pure. And the example is Krishna Katha is compared to the sun. Why? Because we see that Srila Prabhupada would many times give this example that if it's a hot, sunny afternoon, especially in India, if it's like summer afternoon and a small child, a very small child is walking on the road, and if he passes water, on the road, the sun does not think that, oh, this is urine and this is water. The sun does not discriminate. It evaporates and purifies the place equally, whether it's the urine or whether it's the sun, whether it's the water. Both are purified equally, so much so that the place becomes clean, but that contamination is not stuck on the sun. The sun remains as pure as before, but the place becomes clean. And similarly, Prabhupada would give this example and say, Srimad Bhagavatam and the pastimes of Krishna and the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are like the sun. They clear the contamination of the heart, but at the same time, Krishna Katha, like the sun, remains ever pure as before. And this is not difficult to understand, because if the material sun of this world can have this characteristic, what to speak of the spiritual sun? Krishne swadhamopagate dharma jnana vidisah kalau nashta drishamesha purana arka dhunoditaha. Canto 1, chapter 3, text 43, Srimad Bhagavatam. Shukadev Goswami compares Srimad Bhagavatam to a sun. Arka means a sun. Puran arka dhunoditaha. In this dark age of Kali, in this dark horizon, Srimad Bhagavatam or Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta, it rose like a sun to dispel the darkness. So the point is, if the material sun can have the characteristic of cleaning the impurities, but at the same time remaining pure in itself, what to speak of the pastimes of Sri Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the first quality of Hari Katha. Brahman Krishna Katha, Punya. What is the second quality? Madhvi. Madhvi means pure, means sweet. We see in this world, when someone is diseased, when they go to the doctor gives medicines. And invariably, most times, the medicines are very bitter in taste. So if the medicines for Deha Rog can be bitter, how damn bitter should the medicine be for Bhava Rog? It should be so bitter. But interestingly, we see that the medicine for Bhava Rog is not bitter, but it is extremely sweet. Krishna's pastimes are never boring. Whether it is a small toddler, whether it's a teenager, whether it's an adult or an old age, male, female, Indian, American, irrespective of caste, gender, creed, nationality, one commonality that we find is Krishna's pastimes are extremely sweet. And Shukadev Goswami says this is the quality of Hari Katha, Madhvi. It is extremely sweet. So the first quality is Krishna Katha is Punya, it is pure. The second quality of Krishna Katha is it is extremely sweet, Madhvi. And finally, Shukadev Goswami says the third quality of Krishna Katha is Loka Malapaha. We see in Purushottamas, we all sing Chaurashtakam, Chauragra Ganyashtakam. And there, the Chaurashtakam, as we know, is composed by Sri Bilvamangala Thakur. There, Bilvamangala Thakur, he very sarcastically, one of the satires that he uses to praise Krishna, to glorify Krishna, he says, Aneka janmarjita papa chauram, chauragraganyam purusham namami. He says, Aneka janmar jita papa chauram. That, my dear Lord, I collected lifetimes of sins. Itne mehnat karke, I did so much effort, so much tapasya to collect lifetimes of sins. But look at you. Chauragraganyam purusham namami. In one go, you just snatched all the sins, my dear Lord. When you came as Krishna, you stole the color of the clouds. We see Krishna is called as Ghanasham, Jaladhara Sham. He's compared to the cloud. So Bilvamangala Thakur is saying, my dear Lord, when you came as Krishna, you stole the complexion of the cloud. When you came as Sri Ram, you stole the complexion of the grass, because Sri Ram was green in color. And in between the cloud and the grass, where are people running behind? People are running behind gold. We see the whole world is mad behind gold. So Bilvamangala Thakur says, my dear Lord, when you came as Krishna, you stole the color from the clouds. When you came as Ram, you stole the color from the grass. And when you came as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you even stole the color from the gold. So, my dear Lord, you have conquered all the ages. And Bilvamangala Thakuri says, my dear Lord, not just this, you as Hari Katha, the quality that you have is Loka Malapaha. My dear Lord, you also steal the sins from the heart of all the listeners. The listeners for lifetimes, for millions and billions of lifetimes, have amassed mountains and mountains of sin, which they are not even aware of. But my dear Lord, your Hari Katha is so powerful that in one go, it just steals all the sins away. This is the third quality, Loka Malapaha. So Shukadev Goswami says, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya Madhvi Loka Malapaha Konu Tripyeta Shrunvanam. Who is that person who will not want to hear Hari Katha? When we know that Hari Katha can offer us these three qualities, who is that person who will not want to hear Hari Katha? So it's almost like Shukadev Goswami is saying that please hear Hari Katha. Don't refrain yourself from hearing Hari Katha. So we find that these qualities of Hari Katha, it not just holds true for pastimes of Krishna, even though it's quoted in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it not only holds true for the pastimes of Krishna, it equally holds true for Gauranga Mahaprabhu, because Sri Krishna and Sri Krishna Chaitanya are one and the same. So having said this, we now begin our today's discussion. We see in today's discussion, we are reading from the 17th chapter of the Antya Lila of the Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta. And just to set the scene, this is that section where Gauranga Mahaprabhu he was accompanied with Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda. And of course, Govinda, who is his personal servant. And in the first part of the night, Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, they were present with Gauranga Mahaprabhu. And after Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda left, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he slept. He lay on the floor to take some rest. And seeing that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also taking rest, Govinda, his personal servant, he also decides to take rest. But now, interestingly, what happens is in the middle of the night, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he hears the flute sound of Sri Krishna. And Gauranga Mahaprabhu's ears, they are pulled towards the flute sound of Sri Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the middle of the night, he just gets up and starts running towards Simha Dwara. So at this point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in Gambhira. As we know, the last pastimes of Gauranga Mahaprabhu were performed in Gambhira, the place of Kashi Mishra. So hearing the sound of the flute, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pulled towards Simha Dwara. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he reaches Simha Dwara, he just falls to the ground completely unconscious. And when Govinda gets up, he sees Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not there anywhere around. So Govinda goes around to see where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. And finally, he sees that Mahaprabhu is unconscious, lying on the floor in Simha Dwara. And he calls Swarup Damodar, he calls Rai Ramananda, so that they can also help bring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back to his external consciousness. And when Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda, when they come, what they see is something unbelievable. They see that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in so much ecstasy. He's in so much Radha Bhav. He's so much in the mood of Srimati Radharani that the limbs of Gauranga Mahaprabhu have literally gone inside. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shrunk himself and all the limbs of Gauranga, they've gone inside in the form of a tortoise. We see the tortoise has a characteristic. Whenever someone goes to touch the tortoise, then immediately the head and the hands and the legs, the tortoise just pulls itself inside. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the transcendental tortoise, because Kurmadev is not different from Sri Krishna, not different from Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he takes the form of a tortoise, completely ecstatic, just hearing the flute sound of Sri Krishna. And dear devotees, this form of Gauranga is called as Kurma Caitanya. That form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, where Gauranga Mahaprabhu demonstrated Kurma Dev, that is the form of a tortoise, is called as Kurma Chaitanya. So when Swarup Damodar sees this form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, in order to revive Gauranga Mahaprabhu back to external consciousness, he chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra loudly in the ear of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That is what we saw in text 20. To revive Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he chants the holy name. And this holy name, dear devotees, is the essence of all the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Once Hamsaduta Prabhu, who just recently left this world last year, dear disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Once Hamsaduta Prabhu was in a room with Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada very emphatically, he asked Hamsaduta Prabhu that, do you know why I have written all these books? And Hamsaduta Prabhu said, Prabhupada, to convince us of the philosophy. Prabhupada said, not just to convince you of the philosophy, but to convince you that chanting of the holy name is the only viable means in this age of Kali. No devotional activity supersedes the chanting of the holy name in Kali, because it is the Yuga Dharma for this age. So Prabhupada, he said, the books that I have written, the whole and sole purpose of those books are to philosophically convince you to take shelter of the chanting of the holy names. That is the only reason why I have toiled and written so many books, so that at least in some book, in some chapter, in some verse, in some translation, in some Bhakti Vedanta purport, in some line, you will be inspired to take up the chanting of the holy name. Prabhupada said, this is the only reason why I have written all these books, to convince you that chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the most powerful limb in this dark age of Kali. And we find one of the characteristic of Sri Harinam Prabhu is Abhinnatvam Nama Naminaha. The holy name is not different from Sri Krishna. The holy name is called as Nam, and Krishna is called as Nami. And Abhinnatvam Nama Naminaha, which means Nam and Nami, Krishna and his holy name are not different. And there are so many examples, so many pastimes that illustrate this point of Krishna and his holy name being not different. Once there was a mill worker who was working in one of the mills, and he was constantly working the mills, constantly engrossed and absorbed in his work. And at that time, the transcendental spaceman, Narad Rishi, Narad Muni, he arrived there. Narad Muni with his veena, he came chanting, Narad Muni bajaye veena, Radhika Ramana Name. Shri Narad Rishi arrived chanting the names of Radha and Krishna. And he asked the mill worker that, why is it that you're not chanting the names of the Lord? You are engrossed in your material activities, but why is it that you have almost given up the practice of devotion? Why is it that you're not chanting the holy name? And in reply, the mill worker, he told Narada Muni, he said that, O Munivar, O Guruvar, you see that I am completely packed 24 hours. I'm constantly in the mill and I have no time. I don't even have time for myself. So how will I chant the holy name? Only if I have some time, I can chant the holy name. But you see, I'm completely packed. I have no time for anything. And then Narad Rishi, he understood. Then he said that I have a suggestion for you. The suggestion is, whenever you go to the washroom, you at least go to the washroom, don't you? And he said, yes. He said, whenever you go to the washroom, whenever you hit the washroom, at that time, chant the names of the Lord. Because at that time, you cannot do your mill activities. At least at that time, don't waste. Chant the names of the Supreme Lord. So this person, he said, of course, this is something I can do. I never thought about it. This is something I can do. So he guaranteed Narada Muni that, oh Guruvar, from next time onwards, I will chant the holy name. And then Narad Muni, he left. So after that, this mill worker, he started chanting the names of the Lord. And he was a Ram Bhakta. So he would chant the names of Prabhu Sri Ram. And inside he would chant Ram, 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 Ram. The names of Prabhu Sri Ram would literally reverberate inside. And whenever we speak about Ram, there is one personality whom we can never neglect. That is Sri Hanuman. Wherever the chanting of Ram Nam is there, Hanuman will always be there. You see, Hanuman has this blessing. First is he's Chiranjeevi, and second is wherever the chanting of the names of the Supreme Lord is going on, Hanuman can be present at that place. That is one of the benedictions that he has obtained. So he heard that someone is chanting the names of Prabhu Sri Ram. So Hanuman, faster than lightning, he just flew to the place. And when he reached that place, he was surprised that this person is sitting in the washroom and chanting the names of Prabhu Sri Ram. So Hanuman was waiting when this person will come out. He was thinking, how dare he chant the names of my master sitting in the washroom? So Hanuman was literally, he was shining his gadha, he was making sure his fist is all right. And the moment this mill worker, he came outside, Hanuman just punched him straight on his face. And this mill worker, he fell to the ground. And he said, Hanuman, why did you punch me? What wrong did I do? In fact, I was chanting the names of your master. And Hanuman became so furious. He said, you were chanting the names of Prabhu Sri Ram, but you were chanting in the washroom. And this mill worker, he said that, what is my fault? This is what Narad Muni told me. I simply followed his instruction. But Hanuman, he just left that place. And he came back to Ayodhya. And when he came back to Ayodhya, he saw Prabhu Sri Ram was sitting this way. The hand of Prabhu Sri Ram, the palm of Prabhu Sri Ram was on his cheek, and the Supreme Lord was sitting this way. And Hanuman looked at Prabhu Sri Ram and he asked that, my dear Lord, what happened? Every day, very royally, you sit like a king. But what happened? You're sitting this way. Seems like someone has punched you. Seems like your cheek is completely bruised. Who did this to you, my dear Lord? You just tell me his name. I will go and punch him right on his face. Sri Ram said, do you want to hear his name, Hanuman? Hanuman says, yes, my dear Lord, I am your servant. You just tell me his name. And Sri Ram said, okay, his name is Hanuman. Hanuman did this to me. When Hanuman heard this, he said, my dear Lord, I did this to you? But my dear Lord, I was not even present here. I was somewhere else. Sri Ram said, didn't you go and punch the mill worker who was chanting my names? Hanuman said, yes, my dear Lord, but he was chanting it in the washroom. The Supreme Lord, he said that my names are so pure that they can be chanted anywhere. Even if someone is there in the restroom, he can still chant my name. Just like the Srimad Bhagavatam never becomes impure, but it purifies the person. Similarly, the holy name, whenever it is chanted, wherever it is chanted, even if it is chanted in the restroom doesn't become impure, but it purifies the complete place. So Sri Ram was saying that, oh Hanuman, he was chanting my name, and my name and I, we are not different. Abhinnatvam nama naminaha. So when you punched him, I got that punch on my face. It's almost like when Haridas Thakur was whipped in 22 marketplaces. Haridas Thakur, khanda khanda deha jai, jadi jai pran. He was being whipped at every marketplace, but still he was not leaving the chanting of the holy name. And in Mahaprakash Lila, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals that the reason Haridas Thakur did not feel the pain is because Gauranga Mahaprabhu was embracing him from behind. The holy name which was chanted by Haridas Thakur is not different from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is not different from Sri Krishna, and is not different from Sri Ram. So just like that holy name protected Haridas Thakur from the whips, similarly the names of Prabhu Sri Ram, it protected the mill worker. And Prabhu Sri Ram, he demonstrated that that punch of Hanuman on the face of this mill worker was actually on the face of Prabhu Sri Ram, to illustrate this point that Abhinnatvam Nama Namina, the holy name and the personality are not different. And we find that Srila Rupa Goswami, he time and again, he glorifies the chanting of the holy name, so much so that he says, Tunde Tandivinim Ratim Vitanute Tundavali Labdhaye. Srila Rupa Goswami says that this holy name is so sweet that when I chant this holy name, I desire that I have millions and millions of tongues, Rupa Goswami is saying. And when this chanting of the holy name, when it enters the courtyard of my ears, I desire I have millions and billions and zillions and quadrillions of ears. And when that holy name, which is chanted by millions of tongues, enters into the millions and millions of eardrums, and it goes straight into my heart, Rupa Goswami says, I become completely inert. I become completely unconscious and I fall to the ground. He says, Harinam Prabhu is so powerful that one tongue and a pair of ears are too less to relish the sweetness of Harinam. And so many places we find Rupa Goswami makes this point of the sweetness of Harinam Prabhu. Even in the Nectar of Instruction, we find he says, Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitape Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikanu Kintva Dharad Anudhinam Kalusaiva Justa Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tad Gadamula Hantri. Nectar of Instruction, text 7. We find Rupa Goswami, he says that the reason we are not able to taste the sweetness of the chanting of the holy name, when we initially join the movement, we start chanting for a week. And then we expect that within a month, we will get taste for the holy name. And then a month passes by, and then 6 months passes by, and then a year passes by. And then we realize that somehow we have still not gotten that taste for the holy name. And that month passes into 6 months, and 6 months into a year, and a year into decade, and a decade into decades. And then we still find that we have not received the complete sweetness of the chanting of the holy name. Why? Because Rupa Goswami says that the tongue is afflicted with jaundice. We see when we have jaundice, even when someone drinks sugarcane juice, he still is unable to taste the sweetness. So the problem is not there in the sugarcane juice. The sugarcane juice is sweet, but the problem is there in our tongue. Our tongue is afflicted with jaundice. Similarly, Harinam Prabhu is sweet, but our chitta, our consciousness, our tongue is afflicted with the jaundice of bhavarog, of repeated birth and death cycle, because of which we are not able to taste that sweetness of Harinam. So we see that when we are ill and when we go to the doctor prescribes a medicine. He gives a paracetamol. And we take that paracetamol 200 mg for about 3 days. And after 3 days, if it still doesn't work, if there is no improvement in our condition, we go back to the doctor. And then what does the doctor do? The doctor doesn't stop the medicine. He increases the dosage. That 200 mg will become 400 mg. Later, that 400 mg becomes 650 mg. So the dosage is increased in order to cure our treatment. Similarly, if the dosage of 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not helping us treat the jaundice of Bhava Rog, then it is high time we increase the dosage of our chanting from 16 rounds to 18 and 20 and more. Just like the doctor increases the dosage, similarly, we also increase the dosage of our chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Because at the end of the day, we find whenever someone is taking initiation, Diksha, At that time, one of the oaths that we all take is not that we will chant 16 rounds, is that we will chant minimum 16 rounds. So minimum 16 rounds, it clearly implies that the Sri Guru, he wants us to chant more than 16. 16 rounds is just like the passing mark. If it's like an examination and it's a 100-mark examination, and if 35 is the passing, the parents will not tell the child that you aim for 35. If it's 100-mark exam, you aim for 35. No parent will tell that. The parents, in fact, will say you aim for 100, you will end up at 80. Similarly, that 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is like that 35. It is passing mark. A good student is someone who will not just settle for passing mark. Similarly, a good disciple, a good devotee is someone who will not just settle for 16 rounds. He will increase his dosage and chant more and show Krishna that, my dear Lord, I am ready to go that extra mile in order to achieve your lotus feet. So Srila Rupa Goswami, he makes this point in Nectar of Instruction that when Nam Bhajan is increased, that is when the jaundice of our tongue can be cured. And that is when we can taste the sweetness of Harinam Prabhu. So we find this Harinam Prabhu, this sweet, juicy, nectarian Hare Krishna Mahamantra is what was being chanted into the ear of Gauranga Mahaprabhu by Swarup Damodar Goswami. And the word used is it was chanted loudly, which almost means they were performing Nam Sankirtan in the middle of the night at Simadwara. And it was Harinam Sankirtan, Harinam Prabhu that revived Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back to his external consciousness. And we see when Gauranga Mahaprabhu came back to his external consciousness, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says that he ended up hearing the flute of Sri Krishna as if Sri Krishna was playing the flute in the pasture grounds. Now, this is an important word, the pasture grounds. In Vrindavan, there are so many pasture grounds. One of the pasture grounds that is there in Brajadham is called as Ter Kadamba. Many of us who have been to Vrindavan for yatras or different instances would have come across this place of Ter Kadam, which is there in Kamyavan, one of the 12 forests of Brajmandal. So in Kamyavan, there is a place called as Ter Kadam, and Ter Kadam is one of the pasture grounds of Krishna. Why is it called as Ter Kadam? Because Ter in Braj Bhasha means to call. Whenever you have to call someone, that is called as Ter. And Kadam means the Kadamba tree. So this is that place where Krishna, he calls out to his friends. He calls out to his cows. In the morning time, between 6 a.m. and 8:24 a.m., Krishna, he comes to Ter Kadamba. So we see Krishna has 8-fold pastimes. It's called as Ashtakaliya Lila. He has 8-fold pastimes. 6 a.m. to 8:24 a.m., 8:24 a.m. to 10:48 a.m., 10:48 a.m. to 3:36 p.m., 3:36 p.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 8:24 p.m., 8:24 to 10:48 p.m., 10:48 to 3:36 a.m., and 3:36 a.m. to 6 a.m. 8-fold pastimes. So in the morning between 6 and 8:24 a.m. is the time when Krishna is there in Ter Kadamba. And Krishna comes with his 900,000 cows of Nanda Maharaj. Krishna single-handedly. Krishna wants to show Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba that now he has become a big boy. And now he can take care of the cows. In fact, the cows are double the size of Krishna. Krishna is so chotu. He's so small. And we see when the cows are fully grown, they are very huge in size. So the cows are literally double the size of Krishna. But Krishna wants to show Nanda Baba that now he has become a big boy. So he comes with 900,000 cows and all his friends to take care of all the cows. And when Krishna comes between morning 6 a.m. and 8:24 a.m. to Ter Kadamba, the cows, they start eating all the grass like the cows generally do. And when it's almost time, and it's almost 8:24 a.m., now Krishna has to call back the cows. So Krishna, what Krishna has done is, because there are 900,000 cows, we have to have some count. So Krishna has grouped all the cows by the color. Black color, one group of cows. Yellow color, one group of cows. White color, one group of cows. Red color, one group of cows. And every group of cows has one leader also. So Krishna, when he has to call out the cows, Krishna will say, Shamali. And the Shamali, the leader of the cows, will come ahead. So Shamali is a black cow. She is the leader of all the black cows. So Krishna will say, Shamali, and then Shamali and all the other cows will come. Similarly, Kalindi is the leader of the black cows. Another group, again, black cows. So Krishna will say, Kalindi, and all the Satya Kadamba, Krishna will call out. And then the black cows headed by Kalindi will come. And then Krishna will say, Chandani. Chandan means sandalwood. So these are those cows who are yellowish in color. And the leader is Chandani. So Krishna will call out to Chandani. And then yellowish cows will come. And then Krishna will say, Kumkumi. And then red cows will come, headed by Kumkumi. So different cows will come when Krishna is calling them. It's so much so that when Krishna calls out to these cows, our acharyas very beautifully described that Krishna has a counter, has a mala, and the beads are golden in color. Just like when we are chanting, we have beads. Similarly, Krishna also has a mala, and all the beads are golden in color. And whenever the cows come, Krishna pulls one bead down. So if Shamali has come, Krishna pulls one bead, golden bead down. If Kumkumi has come, Krishna pulls another bead down. If Chandani has come, Krishna pulls another bead down. So in this world, when we are chanting in the mala, we are chanting the names of Krishna. But in the spiritual world, Krishna has a mala, and in that mala, Krishna is chanting the name of his cows. Every time he calls the cows, he pulls one bead down. This is how much Krishna loves his devotees. Krishna is having a mala and he's chanting the names of his devotees. That to animals, that to the cows. So Krishna, like that, he calls different cows, and Krishna, he just pulls his beads one after another. But now there are some naughty cows. These naughty cows are such that when Krishna calls them, they will not come. They want personal attention. They want Krishna to call them personally by their personal name, no group name. They want personal attention. So Krishna understands that. So when all the group cows have come, these naughty cows, they are still waiting that now Krishna will call me personally. So like royally, they will come ahead. So now in order to call them, what Krishna does is Krishna, he sits on top of the Kadamba tree. Krishna sits on top of the Kadamba tree. Kadamba tree is considered very strong. Why? Because Kadamba is the representation of Radharani. And Radharani is very strong. We are not talking about physical strength. We are talking about emotional strength. When Krishna left Vrindavan Dham, Radharani somehow or the other, she pulled it along up till she met Krishna in Kurukshetra. So Radharani is emotionally strong, but Krishna is like the tamal tree. Tamal tree like Krishna is very weak. You apply little force to the tamal tree and the tamal tree will break. But the Kadamba tree like Radharani is very strong. So that is why even the Jhulan pastimes that we find Jhulan Yatra. In the spiritual world, when there is Jhulan Yatra, Jhulan pastimes, the swing, the cloth from which they make the swing, that cloth is always tied on the Kadamba tree and never on the Tamal tree. Why? Because Tamal is very weak. Like Krishna, Tamal is very weak. Krishna, he took so much love from the Brajavasis, but what happened? After 10.5 years, Krishna couldn't repay that debt of love of the Brajavasis, and Krishna just left Vrindavan Dham. But Radharani, like the Kadamba, is always there in Brajmandal. So the Jhulan pastimes are always performed on the Kadamba tree. Even now, if you see in Vrindavan, when they perform Jhulan, the cloth is always tied on the Kadamba tree. So Krishna, here he climbs on the Kadamba tree and he sits on the Kadamba tree and he pulls out his Venu. So Venu is one of the 3 flutes that Krishna has. Venu, Vamshi, and Murali. Krishna has 3 flutes. So here Krishna pulls out Venu. And Venu is that flute which is 6 inches long. And he pulls out this flute in order to call to the cows. And the power of Krishna's flute playing is so much that when Krishna plays the 5th note, Yamuna Devi flows backwards. When was the last time we saw any water body flow backwards? Never. We have never seen that. But in the spiritual world, the power of Krishna's one note, the 5th note, is that when Krishna plays the 5th note, Yamuna ji flows backwards. When Krishna plays the 6th and the 7th note, all the seasons come together. Rain, winter, summer, pre-winter, pre-summer, pre-rain, all the seasons come at once. And then what Krishna does? He kind of picks. He takes summer and rain, or winter and summer. So it's like permutation combination. He just picks whichever Krishna wants, he picks the weathers. All this just by the 6th and the 7th note of Krishna's flute. And the 8th note that Krishna plays is exclusively just for Srimati Radharani. That one note of the 8th note is exclusively just for Radhika. So whenever Krishna has to call out to Srimati Radharani, it is the 8th note that Krishna plays. So here Krishna is sitting on top of Kadamba. He has pulled out his Venu and now he's calling out to the cows. And now when the cows, when they hear their name being called out, now the cows feel very happy. They feel, oh, now we are given some royal treatment. Krishna specially is calling to all of us. And when Krishna is actually calling out to them, they are very hastily, they're in a mood. They're very fast. They're eating all the grass because they're thinking to themselves that all other cows have eaten adequate grass. And if I don't eat the adequate amount of grass, then tomorrow morning I will not give thick milk. If I don't give thick milk, then Maya Yashoda cannot make barfi. If Maya Yashoda cannot make barfi, then Krishna cannot eat that barfi. In order so that Krishna eats that barfi, I have to eat more grass so that I give thick milk. So even the cows of Brajadham, when they're eating grass, it's not for sense gratification, but it is with this desire of pleasing the Supreme Lord. So that if I eat this grass, I can give thick milk. From that thick milk, Maya Yashoda will make nice milk barfis, and that milk barfis Krishna will eat tomorrow with Balaram. So even the act of eating in the spiritual world is not for sense gratification. So now when Krishna calls them, these naughty cows, they very royally they come. And when they come ahead, they stretch their neck. You see, when we go to massage the cows kind of stretch, they outstretch their neck, and they love when they are being massaged. So similarly, if the cows love our massage, what to speak of the transcendental Lord touching and massaging them. So these cows, when they come ahead, Krishna nicely massages them. He touches their head, he touches their nose. And all these 900,000 cows, they have bells. So when they come ahead, they all make ting, 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 ting. Morning 6 a.m. to 8:24 a.m., Ter Kadamba is filled with all these cows. And dear devotees, just to reiterate this point, the reason we are discussing about Ter Kadamba is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here is remembering the pasture grounds of Braja. And Ter Kadam is one of the pasture grounds. And Ter Kadam not only has pastimes with the cows, it not only has pastimes with Krishna's friends, that is Sakha pastimes, there are also Madhurya pastimes that take place in Ter Kadamba. So Srimati Radharani, every day between 6 o'clock and 8:24, she along with Lalita and Vishaka and all other Braja Gopis, they walk from Yavat to Nandagram, because we know that Srimati Radharani had this boon that if she cooks, that person who eats from her hand will never fall ill. And we also know that Maya Yashoda had asked and requested Srimati Radharani as to whether she will be ready to cook for Sri Krishna. So it is between morning 6 o'clock and 8:24 a.m. when Srimati Radharani is walking from Yavat to Nandagram in order to cook for Krishna. As we know that Srimati Radharani, the place where she appeared was Raval. After she appeared in Raval, immediately Vrishabhanu Maharaj and others, they switched to Varsana. It's a very interesting name, Varshana. Varsha means rain, and the Na stands for Ananda. So Varshana is that place where there are torrential rains of Ananda, torrential rains of happiness. So if you are looking for happiness, if you are in search of happiness, if the hunt of happiness is going on, then we know where we are supposed to go. It has to be Varsana Dham, because the name itself means Varsha Nav, that place which has torrential rains of happiness. So Radhika appeared in Raval, then she switched to Varsana, and after she got married to Abhimanyu, she went to Yavat. Just like Krishna appeared in Gokul, but then got transferred to Nandagram. So Srimati Radharani, most of her childhood was spent in Barsana Dham. And after she got married, she went to Yavat. And we find it is for this reason, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he praised the same thing in one of his Vaishnava bhajans. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he says, Vrishabhanu pure janamaloilo yavat vivaha hobe. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in my next life, Vrishabhanu pure janamaloilo, that my ardent desire is, may I take birth in Vrishabhanupur, which means Varsana, because Vrishabhanu Maharaj lived most of his life in Varsana. So that is also called as Vrishabhanupur. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Vrishabhanupure janama lailo, that my dear Lord, in my next life, which means not material life, in the spiritual world, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Vrishabhanupure janama lailo, may I take birth in Vrishabhanupur, that is Varsana, and Yavata viva hobe, and may I get married in Yavat. Why? Because Srimati Radharani, when she was young, she played in Barsana. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants to spend maximum time with Radharani when she is in Barsana. And when Radharani gets married and goes to Yavat, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants to get married and go to Yavat. So he doesn't want to miss any opportunity to be with Srimati Radharani. So these songs of our Acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Lochan Das Thakur, they are our life and soul. They are the pran of the Gaudiyas. Apart from chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we should also make sure that we are chanting these Vaishnava bhajans every day. At least one Vaishnava bhajan every day, in order to imbibe the mood of these exalted Acharyas. So morning 6 to 8:24, Radharani and Lalita and Vishaka, they are walking to Nandagram from Yavat. And when we are about to reach Ter Kadamba, those who have been to this place will understand. When we are about to reach Ter Kadamba, there is like a fork. A fork meaning there is a junction. There is a left and there is a right. So you can either take a left or you can either take a right. So when Radharani and the other Brajagopis, when they are about to reach the fork, Lalita Sakhi, she tells Srimati Radharani, she tells, "Oh Radhike, please listen. In that Ter Kadamba is Krishna. And you know how mischievous and how naughty he is." The reason Lalita Sakhi is saying this is, in order to go to Nandagram, if they take a left, it is a long route. In order to go to Nandagram, if they take a left, it's a long route. But if they take a right, it's a shorter route. But the problem is, when they take a right, Krishna is standing there. Ter Kadam is to the right. So Lalita Sakhi is telling Srimati Radharani that instead of taking the right, we'll take a left. Even though it is long route, at least we'll be far away from Krishna. We will be far away from all his mischievous pranks. But Radharani cannot digest it. Radharani says, no, Krishna will not do anything. Lalita, you are there with me. Vishaka is there with me. And all of you all are there. So what can Krishna do? We know that Krishna, he did not even have the power to lift Giriraj. We gave him the power to lift Giriraj. So he has no power. Oh, Lalita, don't worry. We are all there together. Krishna cannot do anything. So Lalita Sakhi says, I am warning you. It's up to you. I have given you the caution. I am warning you. It's a disclaimer. Now it's up to you whether you want to go right or you want to go left. My suggestion, I guide you that you go left. If you want to go right, it's up to you. Radharani says, this time we will go right. We will see what happens. So they all agree and they turn towards right. And when they turn towards right, our hero is standing with all the cows. Shri Krishna, Shyamsundar is waiting with all the cows. And Krishna is showing as if he's milking the cows, but his one eye is towards Srimati Radharani. That sidelong glance, he's seeing that Srimati Radharani is coming from Ter Kadamba. So Krishna gets up and Krishna runs towards Srimati Radharani and says, oh Radhike, do you know that these cows, there is something special about these cows? And Radharani says, what is special about these cows, oh Krishna? Krishna says, oh, the udder of the cows, no, the udder is a place where they give milk. Krishna says, the udder of the cows, there is some design. These cows are so special. There is a nice design in the udder. Radharani says, a design in the udder? No way. Even Vrishabhanu Maharaj has cows. I have never seen any design. Krishna says, no, they are Nanda Maharaj's cows. So they have a nice design. And Krishna says, oh Radharani, you will be surprised to know this is not any ordinary design. It's the design of a lotus. Now look at Krishna. Krishna is saying that the udder of his cows have a lotus design. And Radharani says, no way, Krishna. How can the udder of any cow have a lotus design? Krishna says, believe me, I will show you. Just come with me. So Radharani, she trusts Krishna and she goes. And then when they reach near the cow, Krishna says, oh, you have to sit down because how will I show otherwise? So Radharani very innocently, she sits down in order to see the udder, the lotus design of that cow. And Krishna, faster than a bullet, he sprays all the milk on Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani, who has decorated herself in order to go and cook for Krishna, Krishna is so mischievous that he sprays the complete milk on Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani is completely drenched with milk. And she looks at Lalita Sakhi and Lalita Sakhi says, I told you, I gave you a hint. I told you Krishna is going to be mischievous, but you wouldn't accept. I told you we will take a left, but you wanted to go right. Now look what has happened. And at that time when Radharani is completely drenched with milk, it is Rupa Manjari who comes ahead. Rupa Manjari comes ahead and she gives her cloth to Srimati Radharani and she says, oh Radhike, take my cloth and you wipe yourself. So Radharani takes the cloth of Rupa Manjari and completely wipes herself. And Radharani storms out of that place. Radharani becomes very angry that Krishna played this prank on her. But in her heart, Radharani also likes. Every moment that she spends with Krishna, Radharani also likes that. So this was the first instance. But Rupa Manjari came to the rescue of Srimati Radharani by giving the cloth. After a few days, Radharani and Lalita and Vishakha and Rupa Manjari, they were again walking through that same place. Now when they were about to reach the fork, Lalita Sakhi said, stop. Last time I told you that we have to take a left, you took a right and Krishna sprayed you completely with the milk of the cows. This time, I am not requesting, I am ordering you. Lalita Sakhi is very strong. She says, I am ordering you. Now we have to go left. And Srimati Radharani is thinking to herself that Lalita here wants me to go towards the left side, but my heart is being pulled towards Shyamasundar. She's magnetized by the presence of Sri Krishna. So she wants to still go right, but Lalita Sakhi is asking Srimati Radharani to go left. What does Radharani do now? When they're about to reach the fork, Srimati Radharani is wearing a necklace. Srimati Radharani actually has a necklace that Krishna has gifted her. In fact, Kaviraj Goswami himself in one of his other works, Kaviraj Goswami makes this, he illustrates this point that Krishna has gifted a nice necklace to Srimati Radharani and Vishakha Sakhi has tied that necklace around Srimati Radharani. And Radharani makes sure that on her kantha, there is nothing but Krishna. There is nothing but Krishna. She wants Krishna on her kantha to teach all of us the example that this kanti mala should be the only thing that should be there on our kantha. It's called as a kanti mala because it should touch the kantha. If not the kantha, at least little loose, so that at least we are not choked. But ideally, this is a kanti mala. Why is it called a kanti mala and why we should wear it here? The reason being whatever we wear on the kantha affects our speech. If there is Tulsi Maharani on our kantha, naturally our speech will always be purified. Always our speech will be about Krishna, about Radha and Krishna, about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So ideally, the kanthi mala should always be on the kantha and not like a necklace. And Srimati Radharani is teaching by example. Kaviraj Goswami makes this point that Radharani, she has a necklace that Krishna has gifted her. And Vishaka Sakhi is nicely tied on her neck. So now when they're reaching the fork, Radharani is thinking, time is running out. Radharani is thinking, what can I do so that I can again meet Krishna? And at that time, what Radharani does is she puts her hand on the necklace and just pulls the necklace. And when she pulls the necklace, all the pearls that are strung on that necklace, they all are scattered to the ground. They all fall to the ground. And when this happens, Radharani says, oh, help, help, help. All my necklace, all my pearls have fallen to the ground. This is at the fork, at the juncture. So Lalita Sakhi looks behind and says, oh, what happened? All your pearls have fallen down. And they sit down to remove the pearls. Lalita Sakhi and Vishaka Sakhi and Rupa Manjari and Rati Manjari, they sit down to help Srimati Radharani give the pearls back to her. When Radharani calls out for help, our hero Sham Sundar from a distance, he hears that. And Krishna runs there to help Srimati Radharani and says, oh Radhike, what happened? And Radharani says that my pearls, they fell to the ground. And Krishna searches and he gives one pearl after another. And the reason Radharani did this is not to break the pearls, but the reason is because of this, Krishna will be pulled to her and she can meet Krishna. So she obeys Lalita Sakhi. At the same time, she can also fulfill her heart's desire of meeting Krishna. So this was the second instance. But it's very interesting. What does this pastime mean? Because every pastime has a significance. Every pastime has a learning. Every pastime has a tattva. What can we learn from this pastime? Radharani is teaching us that all the material bindings that are there, all the material bindings can be broken and completely scattered by our intense desire to meet Krishna. If someone is intense to be with Krishna, if someone has the intensity and the full steam to be with Krishna in his dancing party, along with his friends and Maya Yashoda, then that intensity to meet with Krishna will break all the material bindings of this world. This is what Srimati Radharani is teaching. Because she was intense to meet with Krishna, all her pearls in the form of necklace, they all were scattered and completely broken. So if we want to overcome our material inclinations, material desires, material hankerings, then it is only eagerness. Tatra laulyam, Rupa Goswami says. It is only laulyam, greed, hankering to be with Krishna that can break all these material bindings. So this was the second instance. In the third instance, Srimati Radharani and Lalita and Vishaka, they were again walking to the same place along with Rupa Manjari and Rati Manjari, again after a few days. And when they reached the fork, this time all of them turned towards the left and they were walking towards the left direction. And Krishna from a distance, he saw that, oh, Srimati Radharani this time is not taking the right. She's going far and far and further away from me. So Krishna was thinking to himself, I have to think of something because through which I can again meet Srimati Radharani. So what does Krishna do? Krishna, there is a calf that is near Krishna, and that calf is tied. Krishna unties that calf. And now we know calves are very restless in nature. So that calf which was tied, Krishna unties that calf. And now that calf that is untied starts jumping and running here and there. And Krishna with a stick, he somehow guides that calf towards Srimati Radharani, as if to show that it is the mischievous calf that is running towards Radharani. But actually, in true sense, it is Krishna with the stick. He is guiding the calf towards Radhika, and the calf is running, and the calf goes behind Radharani. And Krishna says, "Oh, Radharani, look at the mischievous calf. I had tied the calf, but somehow the calf has untied itself and has been running here and there. Thankfully, O Srimati Radharani, you have caught hold of this calf." And then Srimati Radharani, she gives the calf back to Krishna. And Krishna does this whole episode, the whole pastime, only to have momentary association with Srimati Radharani. So all these beautiful pastimes of Sakya and with the cows and with the Braja Gopis, they all take place at Ter Kadamba, which is one of the pasturing grounds of Krishna and Braja. Of course, there are various pasturing grounds, but this is one of the most prominent pasturing grounds. The reason Ter Kadam is also very important for the Gaudiya Vaishnavas is Rupa Goswami did his bhajan at Ter Kadamba. Of all the places, Rupa Goswami picked Ter Kadamba. Why? Because as Rupa Manjari, she walks through this path every single day between 6 a.m. and 8:24 a.m. So she has a strong connection with Ter Kadamba as Rupa Manjari. And when she comes down as he, when Rupa Manjari comes down as Rupa Goswami, of all the places, Rupa Goswami picks Ter Kadamba as his bhajan stali. And dear devotees, all the books that Rupa Goswami wrote in the form of Nectar of Devotion, Ujjvala Nilamani, Vidagdha Madhav, Lalit Madhav, Dan Keli Kaumadi, all the books, including Upadeshamrit, including Nectar of Instruction, it was written at Ter Kadamba. So when we know the significance, the circumstance in which the author has written, the place in which the author has written, that is Ter Kadamba, our appreciation to study that work only increases. When we know the glories of Ter Kadamba, when we know that this is the place Rupa Goswami wrote Nectar of Instruction, then our hankering to study those 11 verses goes sky high. And we find, even in the BBT edition, we find Nectar of Instruction. This is one of the famous editions of the Nectar of Instruction. And we have Rupa and Sanatan here. But behind we find there is a tree. This tree, this place, dear devotees, is Ter Kadamba. This tree that we find behind is Kadamba tree. So even BPT edition, they're exclusively showing to all of us that Rupa Goswami wrote this book at this historic place called as Ter Kadamba. So now this will bring some appreciation to study Nectar of Instruction. Actually, what we were speaking all this while is just introduction to the front cover of Nectar of Instruction. But there is a question that arises here. Rupa Manjari and Rupa Goswami, who is more merciful? The answer is Rupa Goswami. Why? Because Rupa Manjari is there in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. She is performing the pastimes. She is serving Radha and Krishna. But when that Rupa Manjari is dipped with more compassion, when that Rupa Manjari is dipped with more karuna, she comes down as he in the form of Rupa Goswami to write books in order to show all of us the way, in order to show all of us the path through which even we can be part of these pastimes. Dear devotees, we, all of us, can be a part of these pastimes of Ter Kadamba. That is why our acharyas are giving these pastimes, so that we get inspired to be in such historic pastimes of the Supreme Lord. These pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta and Srimad Bhagavatam, they are not limited to the pages of the book. We have to always understand this point. It is not limited to the pages of the book. If we are liking a particular pastime of the Supreme Lord, then Krishna for us will be willing to perform that pastime once again just to give pleasure to his devotees. These pastimes of the Supreme Lord are dynamic. For the sake of his devotees, Krishna will again perform these pastimes. So we find that Rupa Goswami, who is none other than Rupa Manjari, when he comes down, he writes these historic books in order to not just understand Radha and Krishna, but also bring about an appreciation to the pasture grounds like their Kadamba, to bring appreciation to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we find one of the four instructions that Gauranga Mahaprabhu gave Rupa Goswami, all four of them were just centered around Vrindavan. The first instruction that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Rupa Goswami is to write books. Books in order to convince us about the glories of Vrajadham. Second, to build temples, to invite all of us to Vrajadham. Third, lost pastime places in Vrajadham. Kalena Vrindavana Keli Varta Lukteti Tam Khyapaitum Vishishya Kripamritena Abhishishya Devas Tatraiva Rupam Cha Sanatanam Cha. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Rupa Goswami to re-establish lost pastime places, it was lost pastime places in Vrindavan. So books are meant to help us appreciate Vrindavan. Temples are meant to invite us to Vrindavan. Lost pastime places in Vrindavan. And finally, Vaishnava etiquette, Vaishnava dealings in order to inculcate the mood of the Brajavasis in our heart. So all the four instructions that Gauranga Mahaprabhu gave, everything was simply centered around Vrindavan. And this Vrindavan, dear devotees, is the life and soul of the Gaudiyas. It is the prana of the Gaudiyas. That Radha and Krishna, who are the dancing lords of that Vrindavan, have now appeared 500 years back as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Srimati Radharani in order to relish those same pastimes. We are seeing here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the mood of Radhika. He is remembering those same pastimes as to how Krishna would play the flute at Ter Kadamba and how he would invite the cows, how he would invite the friends, how he at the fork would have beautiful pastimes with Radha and Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is not different from Radha and Krishna, is remembering all these pastimes and relishing at Simhadwara. And just by remembering these pastimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has fallen to the ground. And finally, to wrap up, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in one of his works, he says, Vrishabhanu sutan vitavamatanum Yamuna tatanagar nanda sutam Murali kalagita vinoda param Bhaja godruma kanana kunja vidum. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Vrishabhanu sutanvita vamatanum. Vrishabhanu Suta, that is the daughter of Vrishabhanu Maharaj, that is Srimati Radharani. Vrishabhanu Sutanvita, the word used is Anvita. What does Anvita mean? We see many times we use this word Anvita even in our Mangalacharan. We say, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunath Tanvita Anvita Raghunathanvita tam sajivam sadvaitam savadhutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvita Vishakhanvitamscha. So we use this word Anvita even in our Mangalacharan. What does this word Anvita mean? Anvita means along with. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying Vrishabhanu Sutanvita Vamatanum. Along with Vrishabhanu Suta, Vrishabhanu Nandini, that is Srimati Radharani, she is there along with whom? She's standing on the left side, along with whom? Yamuna Tata Nagar Nanda Sutam. She is standing along with Nanda Sutam, that is the son of Nanda Maharaj, near Jamunaji. And Krishna, who is accompanied with Srimati Radharani. What is Krishna doing? Murali kalagita vinoda param. Krishna, accompanied with Srimati Radharani, is playing his murali, playing his flute on the banks of Jamuna. Bhaja Godruma Kanana Kunja Vidum. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, I offer my obeisance to that Srimati Radharani who is accompanied with Krishna. That Krishna who's playing his flute in Yamuna, and that Krishna and Radharani of Dwapar have now fused together, have now come together in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And for this reason, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Bhaja Godruma Kanana Kunja Vidhum. Bhaja means worship. Worship whom? Bhaja Godruma Kanana Kunja Vidhum. Vidhum means a moon. And Kanana means the forest. And Kunja means the groves. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, worship the rising moon from behind the groves of the forest of Godrum, that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He could have as well just said that worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but just look at the composition of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He is saying that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not different from Radha and Krishna, and that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's like the Vidhum, who's like the moon, is now appearing from behind the groves of the forest of Godrum, that is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhaktivinoda Thakur very nicely uses Godruma. Why? Because Godrum Dweep is the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur did bhajan. So for that reason, he is using the word Godruma. Bhaja Godruma Kanana Kunja Vidum. And in this way, Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes many more verses. We actually find this in KK songs. Every verse is so beautiful. And the last line always ends with Bhaja Godruma Kanana Kunja Vidum. 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 Worship that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who is not different from Radha and Krishna, who has now appeared in this dark age of Kali to taste the transcendental nectar of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani, like we see in this section today of the Sri Chaitanya Caritamrta, Antya Lila, which is entitled The Bodily Transformations of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. Having said this, I very humbly stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Patita Pavan Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samasta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. It's a very nice, very, very beautiful pastimes for sharing, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
I really love.
I like the stories.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Ananta Koti Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. From last 4 years, for 4 days hearing Krishna Katha, Sridham Vrindavan Dham Katha. Yesterday, Sunday night, hearing Aji Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, Aji Amendra Prabhu, and from you, Arjun Krishna Prabhu. Hari Hari Gauranga, Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam, Sridham Vrindavan Dham Lila ki jai. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Jai Jai Nityananda, Jai Jai Gauranga. No words to your sincere seva. Arjun Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Arjun Krishna Prabhu ki jai. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very wonderful pastimes, and the way you narrate it is so sweet. Even the children are so hooked up to it. Thank you so much for making Krishna consciousness it's so beautiful, and it's so I don't know what to say. You know, it's so they can actually visualize how Krishna was going to show Radharani the lotus flower under, and immediately he just sprays all the milk on her face. That was so hilarious. But thank you so much. Very sweet pastimes. Prabhuji, where can we read these, you were saying?
So these are the pastimes of Vrindavan. Generally, when we go for Braj Parikrama, that's when we hear most of these pastimes. I have not personally come across a book that exclusively describes these pastimes. Of course, there are many books of the disciples of Prabhupada which describe the Braj Yatra, which is of course a transcription of their lectures. So in those books we will find these pastimes. I don't have the names of the book top of my head, but there are many Prabhupada disciples. The disciples of the Prabhupada disciples, they have transcribed all their lectures of the yatra. So there we may find, but I don't think there is exclusively a book that describes these pastimes. Many of these pastimes which I mentioned, I have heard them from the disciples of Prabhupada. So that's how I thought of sharing.
Wonderful, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhu, for such a beautiful nectarian class. Really, you made us sit at one place and envision that beautiful pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and of course with the Sakya Bhava, with the Gopas. And the best part, what I like in your class is that how you narrated it, and you collaborated with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's path, because when you started, I was thinking that, here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has felt unconscious, and Sarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai, and they are singing Kirtan in his ears to wake him up. So what's the connection with, with Krishna's pastimes that you are sharing? With the way you related them, wow, it was so good, about the pasturing ground, about Mahaprabhu's mood in that Sakya Bhav and this Madhurya Bhav. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for taking us, all of us, to this tour of Vrindavan Dham through your beautiful nectarian katha. So really appreciate, Prabhu, really appreciate your time. Very, very grateful to you that you always accept our request and you accommodate your schedule accordingly, and agree to give classes. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. And we are so happy to be the part of this Sangha. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, for every time inviting me. Also, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, thank you for considering me worthy enough to share some points about Krishna Katha. Personally, I don't even know how I fit here. The speakers who have graced this platform and who are gracing this platform, including yourself, I don't know how I even fit here. But it is the kindness of all the devotees who are making this toddler, they're pushing this toddler ahead by making him speak something about Krishna Katha. So if not for all of y'all, probably I would not be here speaking and absorbing myself in these pastimes of Krishna Katha. So I genuinely thank all the devotees who are there on this call. Because of all of y'all, I had to think of these pastimes. I had to make notes, and then I had to speak. So I genuinely thank everyone. Thank you, Kirtida Sundari Mataji, for your very kind words, and thank you, Preeti Vilasini Mataji, for inviting me. Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhu, you are very, very qualified, very, very eligible, and we are, blessed to have you on our call. So all glories to you, and all glories to your Gurudev, all glories to your spiritual mentors who have trained you so wonderfully. And especially this class, I can hear so many times. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Ji, Arjun Krishna Das. We hear this Shridham Vrindavandam Katha from Kartik month from H.H. Indradhanu Maharaj diary, H.H. Sachidanandan Maharaj, H.H. Radhanath Maharaj. Thank you to take us in a Shridham Vrindavandam and working hard to serve us. You are exactly fit this platform, Prabhuji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. And it was an amazing class, and you took all of us to Ter Kadamba actually through your words and through your nectarian Harikatha. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranams. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice. Yeah, explain all this, but the pastimes and Lord Caitanya and everything. Thank you very much. And Hare Krishna. What can I say? Everything's nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. If there are no more questions, we can end here. Mataji. Okay, Anjana Mataji.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Is there any more question or comment for Prabhuji? Otherwise, we can end the call. Thank you so much once again, Prabhuji, for giving your association. Always eager to hear from you. Now we can end the call, Prabhuji. Vanchakalpatarvasya kripasindhubheva Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji jai. All glories to
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam. Radhe Radhe.
कोटि कोटि कृतज्ञता प्रभु
Radhe Radhe.
Thank you, everyone. Closing the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.